Hey guys, welcome back on over here to Zoe 101. I'm so excited to have you. So the time has come. I just got back home from Wine and Dine weekend. Let me tell you guys, that was such a fun weekend, even if I was in fact by myself. I did want to take the time to though do my expo haul and then point out the fact that this is the first ever time that they did where there is a virtual queue to get into the merchandise aspect of the expo. So I was a little hesitant about that, but I've got my full review here for you, so don't fret. I'm going to cover everything. So I'm going to get right down to the merchandise first, and then we'll talk about the virtual queue. My main reason for really wanting the merchandise, because I'm not going to lie to you, the whole Wine and Dine themes this year, I loved Coco and I loved Soul just because they meant so much to me, because I watched those with my grandma right before she passed and she loved both of those movies. So that's why I really felt the obligation to do Wine and Dine this year, but I felt like they weren't kind of like a cohesive unit. I didn't think the themes kind of went together. So I was not really looking forward to merchandise. I wasn't planning on really spending any money, except for I wanted the car magnets just because I always do my shadow boxes and I've always gotten a magnet. So that was really my only real motivation for going to the expo in regards to like the merchandise area per se. So obviously you have to go to the expo to grab your bib and shirt, so it's a necessity. So I'm going to go ahead and show you those magnets. So I did get one for each race, and I also did the 2-course challenge. So I have the Genie one to show you as well. So here is the 5K one. I think this is super cute, Coco themed. I still have all of them in the plastics. This is exactly what it looks like when you buy it at the expo. So that's the 5K one. I then have the 10K one. This was such a cool, unique color blue that they used. I really liked it. I'll show you here. The shirt's really cool from it too. Also, I want to point out that each individual race had their own font. This one was especially cool. I thought it went really well with the theme. Here is the Soul one, which this was absolutely amazing. I said this in my race recap video, but I'm so jealous that I didn't get a Soul bib. Since I did the 2-course challenge, I had my Genie bib, which was cool, don't get me wrong, but I loved how they formatted everything for Soul. I was really sad I didn't get that specific bib, but I did love the fact that this is purple, and so Genie was the character of the 2-course challenge this year. So those are the magnets that I purchased. That was my real motivation for going to the merchandise part of the expo. Now this next item, never have I ever wanted this before. It's something that I think is overpriced. I love these shirts because I have one from Disney and I love it. I wear it all the time, but I think they're overpriced and I have to fall in love with it in order for me to buy the Spirit jersey. Let me tell you guys, I took one glance at it and I knew I needed it. So here it is. I'm going to show you. I still have the tag on it. Here is the front. Look at all the sparkles. I mean, that's on the entire shirt, which is why I fell in love with it. But here's the front there, so it's pretty boring, but the sparkles are like, hello, loved it. And then here is the back of it. It's got all the different characters from the 4 races. I liked how, in this regards, they look like a cohesive unit. Like, they're all such different characters, but again, there's sparkles down the entire shirt. I knew I needed it. I didn't even look at the price tag. I just bought it. I absolutely adore that Spirit jersey. Like I said, I don't typically buy them. I think they're overpriced. Love it. So that's everything that I got from the merchandise part of it. But I also want to show you the race shirt. So this was just a guaranteed I would get these because of my registration. And since you've seen the magnets, they'll kind of make sense to you. But here is the Coco shirt. Super cute. I'm glad they went with black. I thought that was probably the best one to go with all these colors. And then I'll just show you on this one. This one had a lot of sponsors on it. I was like, okay, Wine and Dine. And then this is interesting, is they put the RunDisney logo and the Walt Disney 50th on the same part of the sleeve. Now, I have on my 10K shirt from the Dopey Challenge, and you can see RunDisney's on one arm and the 50th is on another. So it's just one slight thing that I thought was unique that they did it that way. But that was the 5K shirt. Oh, I'm out of order in my shirts here. Alrighty, this is that unique blue I was talking about. I don't think the camera does it justice. So here is the 10K. I'll show you, here. We're going to give you a sneak peek of the 2-course challenge. This is the color blue, the 2-course challenge shirt. So just to show you, it is a teal that I've never really seen before. I heard a lot of great things about that shirt. People were raving about the color of it. Oop, all my stuff's falling. Sorry guys, I wasn't as prepared as I thought I was. Now talk about unique colored shirts. This is a very unique colored shirt. This is for the half marathon. This is a dark green. You can kind of compare it to the shirt I'm wearing. It's more of an army green. Again, they went with very different colors for the shirts, but I'm not mad about it. I think it kind of works with Seoul again because there's a lot of different colors going on here. And then last but not least, I love this color, is my 2-course challenge shirt, which this is like the genie takes up almost the whole shirt. So you're like, okay, you know who the character of the race was. But again, this is just the normal color shirt. I think this was the color of the half marathon for Dopey. So that's all of the merchandise that I got from the expo. So that's my haul portion of the video. But now I want to go ahead and talk about the virtual queue aspect of it. So they announced maybe 2 weeks prior to the race that it was going to be a virtual queue. So I started panicking, right? My flight had already been booked. Everybody's flights, hopefully, had been booked at that point. So thankfully, I was on the earliest flight I can get from Cincinnati to Orlando. So my flight was at 6 a.m., landing around 8 a.m. in Orlando, right? So I was trying to get this much of the day in Orlando as I could. So that worked out benefiting me. So they announced that the virtual queue, you can join it starting at 7:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, but you have to be within a 45-mile radius of ESPN Wide World of Sports, which is where the expo takes place. I started to panic because my flight landed at 8 a.m., so I was not going to meet that requirement, knowing I wasn't going to be one of those first people to get into that virtual queue. And if you've ever done Disney virtual queues, you know that you need to be on it earlier rather than later because you're not guaranteed to go in. And as it gets later and later, it's stressful. So I was panicking, but what can I do? I was blessed to get that early flight, so I was just sitting there on the flight like, this sucks because I know people are joining. It was right around the 7 a.m. portion of it, or 7:30, a.m. portion of it. And I'm like, this is just awful. And I knew that the woman in front of me was a RunDisney runner just because she was wearing a previous race shirt, as well as the woman that was diagonal from me. So I was like, well, at least I have fellow runners that are in the same boat as me. And I knew deep down I only wanted the car magnet. So I was like, it's not the end of the world if I don't get it. Like, it's different if I would have been running the Dopey Challenge because I want the merchandise for that. So I just kind of gave up in my head a bit. And I looked over right around 7:40-ish on the plane, and the woman diagonal from me had service and was joining the virtual queue. And I thought, how is this woman having service? So I checked my phone, and I don't know what was in the air, but it worked, and I was able to join the virtual queue. We must have been close enough in Orlando that it picked up my location, and it let me join. So I don't really think other people had that experience, but that's just personally mine. I then joined the 65th group. That is the group that I was assigned. And again, guys, this was at 7:40 in the morning. So, knowing my previous experience with Disney, I was like, I'm 65, I'm never getting in. So as soon as we landed, I got on my Mears bus and I went to the hotel. But thankfully, those on my Mirror bus were all RunDisney runners. We were all kind of able to commiserate with each other because all of us were in the air when it took place. And we thought we were doing so well because we thought we would be able to get in line at the expo and still have a decent time at the expo. So it was kind of nice to commiserate, right? Misery likes company. But it was funny because we were originally told that you only had a 1-hour time span once your group is called. That is what the email that all RunDisney participants received in regards to the virtual queue. And then as we kept checking the status, it kept saying you now have 2 hours. So they did change that last minute, which was good because a lot of people were coming from the park, right? This was a big inconvenience to your day that you had already had planned. So you have 2 hours to go, and it's kind of cool because it gives you a countdown in minutes as to when they expect for them to call your queue. So I was able to see that I probably had still 2 hours before they would call mine. So I was able to get to the hotel, eat breakfast, and know, I wasn't needing to panic. They send you a notification when it is time to come, so I was just constantly checking it. But so the expo opens at 10 a.m. With me being in group 65, they called me around 1:05-ish. So just to give you guys an idea in regards to planning your day, if they do in fact keep this virtual queue option. So I was able to get on a bus because it does count down. It says what group is currently called, and it kind of gives you a countdown as to, again, when they think you'll be called. And you were also able to pick up on patterns. So I was able to determine that within a 40-minute time frame, they were calling a different group about every 5 minutes. So I was able to kind of calculate in my head when I thought mine would be called. So I got on the bus, headed to the expo, and I have to say, guys, I actually kind of liked the virtual queue option. As much as I don't want to admit that, I liked it. Because when your time gets called, you did receive a QR code on your My Disney Experience app. You had to scan that in order to get into the merchandise area, which that makes sense. They just need to prove that you were in fact called. And then you just go right into the merchandise area. It was still crowded. Like, there's definitely still people in there, not necessarily having to fight like you did previously, but it was kind of like, excuse me, just to try and get to your stuff. But they had everything, at least when I went. At 1:05 in the afternoon, they still had everything. Everything was very well stocked. I am a small in that Spirit jersey, right? Previous races, that would have been gone within 5 minutes. They had at least 200 of them when I went through. So I think it was easier on the staff to be able to keep the supply in. So to us, we're like, oh my God, they still have everything. I will say that the magnets there were not many magnets. I was panicking. I think it was the 2-course challenge one that really threw me off, because I'm like, you're kidding. I have each individual race one, but I'm not going to have my challenge one. That's the most important one to me. Like, if I had to pick one, that would be it. So those were going fast. They had a lot of different merchandise too. I'm kicking myself that I didn't buy it, guys. They had a tank top that was solely I'm making myself laugh. It was a Soul tank top. The movie Soul. It had the formatting just like the magnet did, but it just said like Walt Disney World Wine and Dine, and I think it actually said half marathon on it. Okay, I lied. It said half marathon at the end of it. And then it had like RunDisney on the back. Kicking myself, I didn't buy it. I kept looking at it, and I was like, I don't need another running tank top. I have so many. So many people ended up wearing it to the half marathon because it was so hot and rainy, and it was that like wicking material, dry fit, that's what it is, dry fit material. So people wore it in the rain, and I was so envious the entire time. I'm like, I should have bought it. Not necessarily that I would have worn it during the race, but I wanted it, kicking myself, because it was really cute. But they had that. They had a lot of different water bottles, wine glasses. They had the magic bands, the ornaments. I mean, they had everything else that was normal for the Expo. It was just that in particular I've never really seen in regards to a race, just the specific tank top. I think it just had a different kind of formatting for it. I don't know. It had a different layout maybe. I don't know. It was really cute. That's my regret, is that I didn't buy it. But all in all, guys, I liked the virtual queue, as much as I hate to admit it, because it was stressful. I will say it was stressful. But when you actually got into the merchandise area, you were like, thank God they're doing this. I can breathe. I'm not like, like you are in previous years. So that's my feedback for it. I don't know if they'll continue to do it. I know a lot of people had other feedback. I was very blessed that my phone happened to work at 7:40 in the morning while up in the air. I know others didn't have that experience, so I apologize to those that didn't have as great of an experience as I did with it. But that's my story, guys. I will be honest, I had very low expectations for Wine and Dine. It just kind of snuck up on me. I wasn't really able to prepare for it like I have for races previously. And I think that ended up making it such a great race weekend for me. I absolutely adored it. And honestly, Sunday morning when my alarm went off, I was sad knowing that that was my last one and I didn't have another race. I think Dopey has just gotten to me where I'm used to 4, not 3. So I don't know. But even in the pouring down rain, which anybody that knows me knows I hate running in the rain, it was such a magical experience. I hope that everybody gets to enjoy it. I have documented all of my race videos. I will be uploading them here shortly, but I wanted to include the expo first. I think it's important because it's the first part of race weekend, right? And there was such a dramatic change this year. So I wanted to document it here for you. So I hope you guys found this informative. I hope you liked it. I hope I didn't bore you. But thank you so much for coming on over here to Zoe 10 Fun. Don't forget to subscribe. Like I said, I've got all my race videos coming. You don't want to miss it. So I'll see you later, guys.